Hello and welcome back, Cozy Club. We've got ourselves just a little bit of a different video today. Instead of talking about new content or content that is going to be coming, we're going to be addressing old content that's in DSA, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about a community, and not just any community, but the free-to-play community. My friends, today we're going to be talking about the 5 biggest things that the free-to-play community needs, not only for them to be able to be successful within DSA, but for Disney Sorcerer's Arena to be successful in the long run. So in today's video, we're going to break down 5 different subjects and different resources or things I think needed to be added for the free-to-play experience, and honestly, the entire community. I do believe being a part of the free-to-play experience does require you to be a little bit more careful with your resources and have a lot of thought-out planning. But you're going to have the tools and what is needed to do so. So that is what exactly we're going to talk about today. So without further ado, let's just get straight to business and jump into today's video. Alrighty, so let's just get right to the chase and start with number 1 of what I think the free-to-play community and the entire community needs more as a whole within DSA. I asked the public, I asked a bunch of different people to collect surveys for today's video, and then also just my own experience in seeing what I think is desperately needed. And without a question, the number 1 thing we're going to be talking about today, without question, everybody said about the same thing, and that is going to be addressing the gold crunch within DSA. Now, guys, gold has been around since the beginning of the game, and it takes gold to do just about everything in your journey. From leveling up your characters, to gearing them, to upgrading abilities, to removing and then doing things with Sorcerer Stones. Gold is always needed, and it's always going to be something that you're going to require to farm. Now, right now, I just don't think enough gold is coming into the game, and I think there's a lot that they need to do to address this. Now, first and foremost, I think ways that they can kind of relieve the gold crunch, if you will, is first and foremost by the challenges. The summoner challenges, I think they can buff up not only the gold, but also ruin and a little bit of gear to go ahead and make this a bit more accessible for everybody. The last tier currently, at the very end tier, you're going to require to have tier 7 characters. Right now is only giving a max of 160,000 gold, and with it requiring millions and millions to upgrade characters, not only their levels, but to take them up a star level or to unlock them as a whole, it's gonna take a lot more gear and a lot more gold than what they're giving out currently. So that's my first suggestion. Really want to see them upgrade the challenges or just add more gold between this or within the campaign nodes to get a little more daily resources of the gold coming in. A few months ago, Cozy Club, we had a guide that came out with a gold resource guide. And one of the main things that I talked about is the Scrooge money heist event, and just really any events that come by on a monthly basis to give the community resources. And at the moment, in my belief, I don't think these events are coming by frequently enough. And want to kind of dive into that. Now, first and foremost, I think it's fine that they're required to have downtown villains or to have any type of requirement to go after these events, because again, it's a game of collection, and I get them requiring certain characters to get more resources. Don't have a problem with that. What I think needs to happen though is we definitely need to start seeing these on a bi-weekly basis and just seeing more events that give out more gold altogether. With the new story events and the new side adventures coming into the game, I think they're going to be taking away even more of those events and giving the free-to-play community even less of a chance to get more gold. So by fixing this, I think it's pretty easy. Bump up the challenge gold just a little bit, bump up the campaign gold, and have the Scrooge money heist come by a lot more often. If you do all that, I think you're going to be able to just get a lot more gold within the game. It's not going to be overwhelming by any means, and pay to play and whales are still going to have to purchase gold, but it's at least going to give the free to play community a shot to level up not only their starting 5 characters for PvP, but even a couple side projects at that. So without a question, gold is number 1 on our list today. Coming in at number 2 on our list is something I think the free to play community needs, but also the entire community, and that is going to be updates to the exchange stores. Now, right now, currently, the only place to farm characters is going to be in the main adventure campaigns, And yes, you can also get it from the exchange stores. However, these have been around and have not been refreshed for over a year now. And that has got to change because just about everybody who's been playing for a while has all of these maxed out. And yes, if you go ahead and you get shards that you've already maxed out, you get this currency. And honestly, this store is honestly a home run hit. This is great value for a lot of gear. Blue, you did an amazing job on this specific store. But when it comes to the club exchange and the tournament exchange and even the raid exchange, I think all of these need a large kind of bump up with the characters coming in. Now, previously, we saw the Frozen cast come into the club exchange. We've got Anna right here into the Sorcerer tournament exchange. But what I would like to see is, since you did it with the Frozen team, let's start backdating some legendary events. I think that we can definitely get Big Hero 6. Let's spread them out across these stores. I think also we can go ahead and put Beauty and the Beast, Belle, Lumiere, and Cogsworth aren't even being used anyway. Plop them in these stores to make that just a little bit easier while keeping the new fresh legendaries like maybe Sensational 6 or the Hercules crew to still be within the farms, so you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. That's going to give the entire community and the free-to-play community more focus, and they're going to be able to simultaneously farm a little bit more characters, but the gold and the other resources aren't going to allow them to get them all up. So I think it's definitely fair to at least have them start kind of planning their farming journey a bit more by updating these stores and getting people like the old legendaries, Ian and Barley, and just have somewhat of a regular rotation of new characters coming in. Number 3 on this list is probably the biggest one for me that I want to see changed and what I think is really vital and important to the game. Gold and exchange stores, yes, I do really like those things. But let's go and talk about number 3 on the list, and that is going to be the VIP experience. Now, here's the thing, guys. Let's go ahead and hop on over to this next screen. I am not against the VIP package. I'm not against getting a VIP for the game. However, I want to talk about what's in the VIP package right here and what you can purchase and what I think they need to update with this, because it's honestly severely outdated and something that is just going to increase for the free-to-play community even more. I recently started a free-to-play account, and one of the biggest things or the most noticeable differences that I saw in my experience directly came from the VIP cards. So let's go ahead and quickly talk about each of the things and what they can do to improve it to keep it, but what they need to just make just a standard feature for the entire community. Now, going through the top here, gems delivered daily for 30 days. I think this is great. I think this can stay in the VIP store. No problem against that. If you're going to pay for it, you deserve more gems and more currency in the game. Next up, you've got cooldowns on timers for challenges. This doesn't need to be there. Along with some other things, this just does not need to be something that you have to purchase. I think this should be instant for the entire community to save everybody time. I think, yes, you want players to spend more time in the game, but this isn't going to be the method to do so. And in fact, by making these instant, it might have players be in the game more often because it's more enjoyable to be able to get those challenges done right away. So again, add in different benefits. I'm fine with that, but something like this, let's give to the entire community. Now, energy earned per refresh, I'm fine with them keeping that in here. Daily login claims, why not? That's fine. Elite node attempts, 1 extra, okay. Same as club dungeon. These aren't deal breakers. I think those ones are okay. But let's zero in on some of the other ones. Now, one touch complete all challenges, request all benefits. I think that should just be a no-brainer. I think that should be accessible to the entire community. That one's definitely on the list to move to the free-to-play community for sure. Exclusive VIP exchange store. Definitely, that's fine. No problem with that. You can keep the VIP store. I think that's where whales are spending anyway. I think that can definitely stay. Now, for the last 3, we've got auto-complete Towers of Endurance. Whew. Lots to talk about with this one, guys. This one, I think, is definitely outdated. What I think they can do to change this is to just swap the towers. So let's talk about this. I think they're going to go ahead and they can just remove this autocomplete. This should be something that if you went ahead and done already, you get your 39,000 gold, you get some exchange tokens, and you get stuff for spells. That's great. The full community should get that unless they plan on releasing more towers. However, I think it's perfectly fine if they wanted to go ahead and, let's say, the Rapunzel Tower or the Stitch Tower. Once someone's completed that and if they want to auto that and add that into the game, go ahead, add that to the VIP store. I think that's fine, and I don't think too many people are going to be upset about that. But for Towers of Endurances, let's try to make that autoed for everybody. I think that's going to make the whole experience a lot better. All right, next up, we've got 3 times battle play speed. This is a no-brainer. This has got to go to the entire community. It is so noticeable when you start a free-to-play account from having another account, just how obvious the 2 to 3 times jump is. And this is something that should not be unlocked. I think this should just be access to everybody, or at the very minimum, just bump it up. Have 3 times for everybody and make a 4 times, because the game is getting longer with the battles anyway. So at least give the community what they had here and then add another speed if that's a win-win for everybody. Now, the last thing is additional save slots. That's fine, I guess. I would like to see more slots in the game either way, but I understand. Maybe add all the slots that are there right now for the community and then add an additional pages to go along with that. Again, completely fine with the VIP store and the VIP cards and all those. I just think you need to take some of this stuff that's been now a little outdated and give it to the community, and then go ahead and just refresh the entire VIP card exchange. Coming in at number 4 is going to be none other than Sorcerer Stones, guys. And there's a lot to talk about Sorcerer Stones, but I want to highlight what I think the entire community needs for these stones and what it's going to do to help the game in the long run. Now, first and foremost, I think that these smaller stones should just be made available in challenges or a little easier for the entire community. 5% bump up on these speed stats or health or offense isn't going to make or break a character, and in fact, it's going to educate players earlier on in their DSA experience to kind of know what they're doing with these stones, and so they can gradually get better, so they're not kind of slapped with these stones halfway in a couple months through their playthrough. So first and foremost, I think we need to get more of these stones. But second, I think we need to reduce the cost of gold to unequip them. Now, I'm not saying get rid of it. I've seen this in other mobile games, and I get why it's going to be there. But we can at least half these amounts or cut them in a fourth for both the top tier stones and the secondary stones altogether. Something that I definitely think needs to be seen. I'm all here for the stone events, and I think there's ways to bump those up. But in general, we need more stones for the free-to-play community. Now, this all brings us to point number 5. Now, I'm going to have some closing notes with all of this, but point 5 is, you guessed it, gear and runes. Now, guys, runes I think are desperately needed. With all of the ability upgrades, I think we've got to have them added to a lot different things in the game. Just like the Scrooge money heist, let's go ahead and have the intergalactic rumble come by bi-weekly and maybe increase that amount. And then on top of that, I think we need to have them as a great example to be popped into the club dungeons like we had at the anniversary event. Even just a couple runes within that is going to help massively relieve all of the upgrade ability crunches. And with more abilities being added into the game, I think this is a no-brainer to let the community use the characters that they have unlocked. And then, yes, we've got new abilities. You can gate those. I understand that a little bit more. But for the ones that have already been out, I would love to see them add more ways to get this and to have the free-to-play community at least get their top 5 and maybe their raid team ready to go with the abilities that they need over a course of time. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is gear. And I'll be honest, I think this might upset some people. People are going to get upset no matter what I say typically right now. But I'll say for gear, I think the gear crunch isn't that bad. I think they've added a lot to help it out. It was really bad, and then they really kind of fixed it up. Between the more refreshes on energy to get more gear, I like that. I like them updating the stores and all the different exchanges and things like that. So that's nice to see. But what I do want to see with the gear, because right now, if you're in a good club and you're able to go through the Stitch Tower and the Triton Tower and unlock those milestones and do the raid and different events, you're going to be getting a lot of gear. However, I still think it can be increased just ever so slightly, and altogether, if you do these other things like the gold in the exchange store, naturally having gear just a tad bit easier to farm is going to be a great thing to see. All right, Cozy Club. So those are the top 5 things that I think the community and the free-to-play community need the most within DSA. So now let's go ahead and I want to quickly just talk about some closing items. Now, First and foremost, one thing I want to address is the new Ascension campaign. I think it's incredible. I actually am having a ton of fun with how challenging it is. And there is something I want to address, and that has to do with just the first level here. This is going to be for not only the free-to-play community, but I think the large community as a whole. You know, the first 1A here is going to require the Hunchback of Notre Dame characters, which, you know, they're great characters. They're not bad investments to begin with, but at the very least, what I think they need to do is take that requirement and move it from 1A over to 1B at the very minimum. I would like to see these first ones be something like Frozen or other legendaries that people already have. But if it is going to be Notre Dame and if it is going to be Kingdom, then at least make it 1B and make this first one really anything under the sun. And the main reason for this is that the free-to-play community and the community as a whole right now is able to get this Ascension campaign energy, but they're unable to spend it. And if they don't have a 6th gear or a Quasimodo Kingdom characters, they're not even going to be able to burn the energy at the very least. So I think at the very least, if they're getting the energy, let them just, you know, auto win this first stage a couple of times and get these rewards. And then outside of that, you can go ahead and have whatever's required after that. But I think that's a big change as a whole. So Cozy Club, I hope you enjoyed today's video. We've got Corella, farming guides, more tier list. We've got a lot coming for you in the future of DSA. And one thing I want to say, guys, is I just have a passion and love for making videos for you guys. I love trying to figure out what is the smartest way and most efficient way to farm certain characters. And the one big thing with the nerfs that I want them to address, and we talked about in the video yesterday, is looking for at least getting Hero Hamada or Bubbles, getting the gear and gold back for those characters, because half the fun and a lot of the joy in this game comes from looking at all the characters in the game and what you need them for, and then planning out and getting those squads ready. But if you're going to always kind of fear the nerfs, that's going to take away a lot of the joy, and then it's taking a lot of the trust for the community to even go after said legendaries or events, because those characters might be nerfed. So I definitely want to see that changed. I hope that outside of Hercules, this is the main bit of nerfs that we're going to see, because that definitely, it makes my whole content creation easier if I know that this is going to be changed, so I'm not leading you guys astray, and something I hope to see in the game altogether. My friends, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like, leave in the comments below what else you would like to see added for the free-to-play community. My friends, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because the whole game changed. And until next time, my friends, stay cozy.